This is not a drill. Heaven just spoke up, and what I'm about to tell you will really shock you. It's not an accident that you are reading this on the eve of December 5th. This is an order from God. You didn't just find this message by accident. You were called. This very moment, the same voice that called Samuel in the temple and spoke to Moses from the burning bush just spoke your name. Didn't you feel it? That restlessness that wakes you up at 3 a.m., that weight on your back when you should be sleeping. There's a stifling silence in your empty rooms that beats all other sounds. You've been asking yourself, why can't I sleep? Why does my heart feel so heavy? Why am I here listening at this very moment? Listen carefully, beloved. The 5th of December is not just another date on your calendar. It's a cosmic threshold, a final warning, the last call before heaven moves in ways this generation has never witnessed. For weeks now, chosen ones across this nation have been waking at the same hours, feeling the same inexplicable burden, sensing the same spiritual electricity crackling in the atmosphere around them. You thought you were alone in this. You're not. You're part of a remnant that heaven is preparing for something unprecedented. But here's what will shock you to your core. Why the 4th of September? Why is this day different from every day you've survived for 50, 60, 70 years? What does heaven expect of you before midnight strikes and this window closes forever? The enemy has worked overtime to keep you from this moment. Every distraction that pulled you away from prayer, every doubt that whispered you were forgotten, every wave of exhaustion that hit when you tried to seek God's face. This was warfare, beloved, because hell knows what you're about to discover. You see, God doesn't send final warnings to the comfortable. He sends them to the chosen, the tested, the ones who've walked through fire and refused to bow, the ones who've carried impossible weight and somehow kept breathing. If this already stirs something deep in your spirit, if something ancient is awakening in your chest right now, write "I'm ready" in the comments. Write it as an act of faith. Let heaven and earth record your agreement with what's about to unfold. To everyone who supported this message through prayer, time, or seeding into this ministry, thank you. You're not just helping a channel grow, you're helping heaven's light pierce through someone's darkness. You're funding a divine rescue mission. Drop 777 in the comments if you know this message found you exactly when heaven intended. That number isn't random. It's your confirmation code that you're aligned with what's coming. Now breathe deep, stay close, because what you're about to hear in the next hour will either terrify you or transform you. There's no middle ground anymore. The silence ends now. Your final warning begins today. How many nights have you sat in that chair where your beloved used to sit, wondering if God forgot your address? How many mornings have you awakened to a house so quiet you can hear your own heartbeat, questioning if your voice still matters to heaven? How long have you been carrying the crushing weight of divine silence, mistaking it for divine abandonment? Listen to me, chosen one. Your silence was never punishment. It was preparation. Think about Jericho. For 6 days, Joshua commanded Israel to march around those impossible walls in complete silence. 6 days. Can you imagine the doubt that must have crept in? The whispers of, is this really God's strategy? Why do we not attack? But it wasn't the noise that brought down those walls. It was obedience in the silence before the shout. Your empty dining room where children's laughter once echoed. Your telephone that rarely rings with voices that once called you daily. The conversations that died with your spouse. That crushing quiet. Isn't God turning his back on you? It's God positioning you for something so powerful that it requires complete stillness to receive it. Remember Elijah after calling down fire from heaven after defeating 450 prophets of Baal. He found himself running for his life, hiding in a cave, begging God to let him die. 1 Kings 19 verse 12 tells us that after the earthquake, after the wind, after the fire, God came in a still, small voice, a whisper. The breakthrough came not in the drama, but in the silence. Your silence has been your seminary, beloved. While others lived comfortable lives, you've been enrolled in heaven's graduate program of trust. Every lonely evening taught you to depend on God's presence instead of human company. Every unanswered prayer refined your faith like gold in fire. Every tear you shed in secret became liquid intercession rising to the throne. You are not a forgotten relic of God's former glory. You are a loaded weapon pulled back in heaven's bow, aimed at the enemy's strongholds. The further back you've been pulled, the greater the distance you'll travel when released. But here's what breaks my heart. Some of you are about to miss the 1st of December moment because you've believed the lie that your season of impact has passed. You've accepted silence as your permanent address instead of recognizing it as your launching pad. If you understand that your silence was training, not punishment, type "I will endure" right now. Let heaven record that you're ready for what comes next. Because, beloved, the silence is about to break, and when it does, the sound will shake both heaven and earth. But first, you must understand why the 5th of December carries a weight that could determine your eternal legacy. Chosen one, let me tell you why the 5th of December isn't just another date on your worn calendar. It's not another Thursday to endure in that empty pew where your spouse once sat. This is the day heaven opens the file with your name and asks one final question. Will you answer or will you ignore? Listen to me carefully. For 70 years, 80 years, maybe 90 years, you've been walking toward this single moment. Every heartbreak that nearly destroyed you, every sleepless night when you wondered if God remembered your address, every door that slammed shut when breakthrough seemed within reach, it was all leading here. The 5th of December is your dividing line. What you decide today will separate yesterday's pain from tomorrow's promise. This is your Red Sea moment, your Jordan River crossing, your burning bush encounter disguised as an ordinary Thursday morning. The prophet Joel declared centuries ago, "The sun shall be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes." We are living in that day, beloved. The signs aren't coming, they're here. The shaking isn't future, it's now. But here's what breaks my heart. Most of God's people will sleep through their divine appointment. They'll dismiss what they feel in their chest right now as indigestion. They'll explain away the restlessness as old age. They'll convince themselves this is just another religious message, instead of recognizing it as their personal summons from the throne room. Remember what Jesus said in Revelation 3 verse 20. "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in." But notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't promise he'll keep knocking forever. There's a window, there's a season, there's a moment when heaven moves. And after that moment passes, some doors close permanently. You've been in the wilderness long enough. 40 years of wandering in circles, wondering when your breakthrough would come. But just like the Israelites at the edge of the promised land, you have a choice. You can cross over or spend another 40 years in the same desert, asking the same questions, carrying the same burdens. This is not just another Thursday, chosen one. This is the last warning before heaven shifts the season forever. This is your moment to step out of yesterday's limitations and into tomorrow's limitless possibilities. So, I'm asking you right now, no, I'm begging you, declare it. I choose alignment on the 1st of December. Write it in the comments. Speak it to your empty living room. Claim it with the authority of someone who refuses to miss their divine appointment. Because what happens next will determine whether you spend your remaining years as a testimony of God's faithfulness or a cautionary tale of missed opportunities. You know what breaks my heart? It's sitting across from a 7-8-year-old woman in Brooklyn last month, her weathered hands trembling as she whispered, "Pastor, I buried my Harold 6 years ago. My kids live in 3 different states and call me twice a year. I wake up every morning wondering if God remembers I'm still here, chosen one." If that's your story, listen to me carefully. Those empty rooms aren't evidence of abandonment. They're sacred chambers where heaven has been preparing you for something unprecedented. You've carried weight that would crush ordinary souls, haven't you? You've stood at gravesides watching them lower, the only person who truly knew your heart. You've held their hand as it grew cold, wondering why God took them and left you behind. The silence in your house now screams louder than any sound. Your children, Lord, your children. You sacrificed everything, worked double shifts to pay for their education, went without so they could have loved them fierce and unconditional. And now they're strangers with your last name. They call when they need money. They visit when it's convenient. They treat you like a burden when you gave them everything. That betrayal cuts deeper than any physical wound, doesn't it? Because you didn't just lose children. You lost the future you dreamed of. Those grandchildren you'd never really know. Those holidays that became echoes of what family used to mean, and your body. This temple that carried you through decades is betraying you now. Medications that cost more than you used to make in a week. Doctors who talk over you like you're already gone. Stairs that feel like mountains. Nights when pain keeps sleep away and you wonder if this is all there is left. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. Every scar on your soul is a signature of heaven. Every wrinkle on your face is an etching of survival. Like rings in a tree trunk, your struggles didn't weaken you. They proved you could weather every storm hell threw at you and still be standing. Those hospital rooms where you fought for breath, you were learning to depend on God's breath instead of your own. Those financial struggles, you discovered your true treasure isn't in banks but in heaven. That loneliness that nearly broke you, it was God separating you from everything that would interfere with your final assignment. Moses was 80 when God called him from the burning bush. Sarah was 90 when she birthed the impossible. Abraham was 100 when Isaac finally came. Your age isn't your expiration date, it's your divine diploma. If you're still breathing, still believing, still here listening to these words, shout it out right now. I survived. Break the silence with your declaration of victory. But survival was never the goal. Survival was preparation for what heaven is about to release through your battle-tested faith. Chosen one, I need to expose the filthiest lie hell has been whispering in your ear for years. Can you hear it right now? That voice that slithers through your mind at 3 a.m. when the house is too quiet and your thoughts are too loud. You're too old. Your season is over. God uses younger people now. You've missed your moment. Stop. That is not God's voice. That is the hiss of a defeated serpent trying to convince you to lay down your sword when the final battle is at hand. Listen to heaven's verdict, beloved. You are not too old. You are too dangerous. You are not past your prime. You are in your prophetic season. The gray in your hair isn't a sign of decline. It's a crown of wisdom that strikes terror into the heart of darkness. Moses was 80 when God called him from the burning bush. 80. When the world would put you in a rocking chair, heaven puts you in position. When society sees retirement, God sees recruitment. When the enemy whispers finished, the Almighty roars just getting started. You think those sleepless nights were insomnia? No, beloved, that was heaven keeping you awake because your prayers in the dark hours carry weight that moves mountains. You think that restlessness in your spirit was anxiety? That was the Holy Ghost stirring you for assignment. Think about Daniel. For 21 days he prayed, and heaven seemed silent. 21 days of what felt like divine abandonment. But Daniel 10 verse 12 reveals the shocking truth. From the first day you set your mind to understand, your words were heard. And I have come because of your words. The silence wasn't God ignoring Daniel. The silence was angels and demons locked in cosmic warfare over one man's breakthrough. Your silence isn't punishment, chosen one. Your silence is warfare. Every quiet evening you thought God forgot you. Battles were raging in heavenly places over your destiny. Every moment you felt invisible. Heaven was positioning you like a chess piece for checkmate against the kingdom of darkness. Here's what makes hell tremble at 3 a.m. When you can't sleep, it's not your loud prayers, it's your silent communion with the Almighty. Hell trembles when a chosen one sits in silence with God. Because that silence is where miracles are conceived, where destinies are birthed, where the impossible becomes inevitable. You are the generation heaven trusts with the final hour, the ones tested by fire, refined by storms, seasoned with scars that tell stories of survival. If this is your story, if you recognize yourself in these words, whisper aloud right now, "That's me." But why has the enemy fought so hard to convince you otherwise? Because the 5th of December is when heaven reveals what your years of silent preparation have been building toward. Chosen one. For decades, the enemy has been whispering the cruelest lie straight into your weary heart. He's convinced you that your best days died with your spouse, that your purpose was buried with your dreams, that at 65, 70, 80 years old, you're just marking time until heaven calls you home. That is a lie from the pit of hell. Listen to what the enemy doesn't want you to remember. Every prophet in Scripture received their greatest assignment in their golden years. Moses was 80 when God called him from the burning bush. Anna was 84 when she proclaimed the Messiah. Abraham was 100 when Isaac was born. Your wrinkles aren't signs of decay. They're etchings of wisdom. Your slower steps don't signal weakness. They reveal the measured walk of someone who's learned not to run ahead of God. But here's where heaven's mathematics will shock you to your core. Isaiah 61 verse 3 declares God's divine exchange program to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. This isn't poetry, beloved. This is God's business model. He doesn't just restore what was lost. He multiplies it beyond recognition. Every tear you cried over that empty chair where your husband used to sit, those tears are about to water seeds of revival in someone else's dying marriage. Every sleepless night you spent wondering if your children would ever call, that loneliness is about to become healing oil for other abandoned parents. Every financial struggle that taught you to trust God's provision, that testimony is about to unlock breakthrough for families drowning in debt. You thought your pain was punishment. Heaven saw it as preparation. Right now, while systems collapse around us, while families fracture and faith dies in the streets, God is positioning you as foundation stones for what He's rebuilding. While the young generation drowns in anxiety, you've learned to cast your cares upon Him. While they build on sand, you've built on the rock. This is your moment, warrior. The 5th of December is not your retirement. It is your recognition. Stand up right where you are. Raise your hands toward heaven and declare with the authority of someone who survived every storm. I receive my exchange. Beauty for my ashes, joy for my mourning, purpose for my pain. Say it louder. Let your empty house hear it. Let the angels record it, because what God is about to release through your surrendered life will rewrite everything you thought you knew about your remaining years. But first, you need to understand exactly what the 5th of December is unlocking in the spiritual realm over your bloodline. Beloved chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to carry 3 unshakable truths with you into the 5th of December and beyond. First, your age is not your expiration date. It's your activation code. While the world whispers that your best days are behind you, heaven declares your most powerful chapter is just beginning. Moses didn't split the Red Sea at 30. He did it at 80. Anna didn't recognize the Messiah in her youth. She proclaimed him at 84. Your silver hair isn't a sign of decline. It's a crown of wisdom that this broken world desperately needs. Second, every trial you've endured was preparation, not punishment. That divorce that nearly destroyed you taught you the difference between human love and divine love. That financial ruin that left you counting pennies proved your security comes from heaven's bank, not earth's economy. That diagnosis that terrified you revealed that your hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. Nothing was wasted. Every tear was an investment in someone else's breakthrough. Third, the 5th of December isn't about retirement, it's about reignition. While others see your quiet years as winding down, God sees them as powering up. The silence you've walked through wasn't abandonment, it was preparation for the loudest testimony of your lifetime. But I need you to know something deeper than knowledge, something that settles into your bones and becomes an unshakable truth. You are not walking this path alone. Even when your house feels empty, even when the phone doesn't ring, even when you wonder if anyone remembers your name, the God who numbers every hair on your head is orchestrating every detail of your breakthrough. Beyond God's presence, you have a family right here. Look at these comments flowing like a river of hope. See these hearts connecting across miles and years. Feel these spirits resonating with the same hunger for purpose. We're not just viewers on a screen. We're warriors in the same army, carrying the same hope, fighting the same battles, believing for the same breakthroughs. Share what God spoke to your heart today in the comments below. Tell us what you're believing Him for in this season of divine exchange. Ask for prayer. This community will surround you with intercession that moves mountains. If someone comes to mind who needs to hear that they're not forgotten, not finished, and their greatest chapter may be just one prayer away, share this message with them. Let me ask you this. When you look in the mirror tomorrow morning, will you see someone marking time until heaven? Or will you see a warrior that hell couldn't break, carrying authority that comes only through fire? If this message stirred something ancient in your spirit, if you feel that divine restlessness rising in your chest, don't keep this to yourself. Subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell, because your breakthrough journey is just beginning.